The Waunakee Area Emergency Medical Service, 30 years on duty and ready to serve.
Back to that first day, we had never seen the inside of an ambulance. And the pager goes off and it's like, wow.
It's an EMS made up of volunteers, heroes in their own right.
To be the best in Dane County, I think. I think he really wanted us to shine as EMS.
The thing about EMS is every call can be unique. And so a lot of times you're thrown into a brand new situation that you've never been thrown into before, and your training will kick you in, but again, you have to deal with the actual situation that's occurring.
It's an organization that has grown through pride and dedication.
I think everybody that has the uniform is proud to wear it.
It's a committed crew that cares about each other and the community it serves.
I think the whole group as a whole, I felt it really easy and comfortable going from crew to crew.
Oh yeah.
I could sign in anywhere and people would accept you.
It's done because of the love of the work we do and the teamwork that we have. I mean, some of the crews that I work with are just awesome. You couldn't ask for more than that.
For 30 years, the volunteers of Waunakee Area Emergency Medical Service have been providing valuable aid and assistance to those in need of care. It's currently made up of more than 60 people, increasing duties and services as its community grows. The Waunakee Area EMS covers Waunakee, Westport, Village of Dane, Town of Vienna, and Town of Springfield, making up the WWDDVS. It's an area with a strong work ethic and sense of community.
This service, of course, fully volunteer, and I always remember when it first started was actually there's a 5-year burnout rate, and so after 5 years, most EMTs drop off. The longevity in this service is unreal. There's a lot of people that are pushing 20, 25, and 1 year, one person 30 years this year.
The community has been very good to me, and it was, in my mind, a way that you can make the community better, and you could pay the community back for everything that it had done for you.
What has grown to be an organization of dedicated volunteers started rather quietly back in the 1970s when the U.S. government required an ambulance service able to reach every citizen of the country by 1980. In July 1977, the first meeting was held to plan the future Waunakee Area EMS. In April 1978, 13 people decided to undergo training to become emergency medical technicians. On January 4, 1979, the 13 certified EMTs began serving the Waunakee area. They were pioneers, beginning a tradition of volunteering that continues to this day.
I think that we started out with a bang, and I think we did a really good job to begin with, to be honest.
That first crew was based out of a small building on South Division Street.
Oh, that was a warehouse. It was down where Koberger's buildings are on Division Street. And the ambulance had to go out the back side of it and come around the building. And inside, of course, it was just a warehouse, and they had put a couple bunks in for those that had to stay overnight, and it was a makeshift kitchen. And of course, popcorn has been a staple of EMS personnel forever. Well, those that stayed overnight, when they were in the bunks, could hear the mice in the popcorn bowl helping themselves.
The staff responded to calls even before it had an ambulance, forced to use whatever resources it could.
In the 70s, they actually ran the squad cars, the police cars here in town, were station wagons, and they actually just put people in the back into there, and the police officer drove them into Madison until the ambulance service started here in 1979.
Eventually, Ambulance 826 was put into service, giving EMTs greater range of service and accessibility. The attitude and conduct of each emergency medical technician reflects a sincere dedication to serving people in need of help. Behind each great team is a great leader. In 1978, George Kolb was asked to fill the position as the first director of Waunakee Area EMS.
George did not intend to be the leader of this organization. He joined Waunakee EMS because his wife was pregnant and he wanted to know what to do if there was an emergency.
For more than 13 years, Kolb continued his leadership role and served on numerous committees and advisory boards to help build the community's EMS. Those who worked with George blossomed under his direction.
He was very quiet, very unassuming, and very much loved the people in the service and loved the people in town, and he gave a great deal of himself. It was unfortunate that he passed away the way he did and as young as he was, because he was just a class act.
If you talk about George, it was kind of a fun thing to be on a call with him, because he let you do your thing and he helped you out.
If I ever needed to be in a triage situation, I wanted George to be a part of it, because he knew triage of things like nobody else did, and he was very dedicated.
Kolb's leadership also reflected an overall care for the community. Along with overseeing his team of EMTs, he took time to recognize the other important people in their lives.
And he always included then at every annual meeting that we had with spouses or significant others, he always included the other part of the family that was staying back while we were able to go and run. And I always thought that was really a special thing, to make it that we were a total family, not just the EMS personnel.
Our Outstanding EMT Award for the first 2 years was called that. After George died, it was renamed the George Kolb Award. And it's the highest honor that the service gives. And it's a high honor indeed, and I think it's something he'd be proud of.
Kolb's commitment to EMS is part of the tradition carried through today by volunteers and its current director.
Probably one of the things that's common among all those people is a compassion for working for others, and also compassion for doing the best they can at what they do, and continuously learning new skills and new things to keep current with what's going on in EMS.
Service provided by Waunakee EMS has grown over time in the same way the surrounding communities have developed.
And the call volume just kept going up with the way the villages and townships kept growing and growing. So more people coming in made a big
And like somebody
difference.
else said too, more people became aware of the fact that they could and should be calling the ambulance.
The increasing population across Dane County led to Waunakee EMS needed to expand as well, and adding more space for on-duty crew and vehicles. In December 1981, the group moved into a new building on North Klein Drive. In 1985, a new ambulance became the primary unit for the crew, with the original ambulance moved into a backup role. In July 1990, a blue and white ambulance was put into service, now known as Rescue 24. The 1985 model became Rescue 26, with both vehicles and its crew ready to respond 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And the ambulances have become better too.
Yep.
They're more comfortable, number one. Yep. They have more power.
A lot more room.
A lot more room to move around in, and so that's been a big change too.
The development of Waunakee EMS requires keeping up to date with advances in the field of pre-hospital care. It's always expanding rapidly, requiring additional skills and sophisticated training for EMTs. After several years, a defibrillator program was adopted to provide faster care for patients. The defibrillators have paid for themselves on many occasions, meeting the difference between life and death.
Before having combi tubes and defibrillators, it was a whole different ballgame when you had a CPR situation on your hands. It gave a person a chance to feel hopeful about the outcomes.
That was night and day. I know I was on the call, but just weeks prior to that we didn't have them. And had to end up meeting up with Madison paramedics that could hook up their defibs.
Defibrillators obviously coming about, that was a big change. And of course, just other